So I'd heard about the Visualising Research Competition last year, and I had made a half attempt to try and enter it then. Unfortunately, just due to time and lack of preparation, I'd gotten a huge array of images, but they were photographs being taken, and at the time I couldn't work out what it was, but something wasn't quite grabbing me about what was going to be the image to do. So indecision, combined with the fact that I was struggling for time, made me reluctant to submit anything last year. But I do like to engage in co-curricular activities, anything that's a bit CPD based, can be good. So when this year came around, and it gave me the opportunity to reflect actually, because I thought about entering last year, so that when I did enter this year, I was able to see how much more purpose and direction I have with my image, because last year was such a different experience that I never quite got to the finish line with, but this year it is. Yes, I did. However, this is the point where I've got to give credit where credit is due, because this was a bit of a collaborative effort between me and a colleague from a different organisation called Lloyd Sales. So he's the graphic designer that put the brilliant image together, and I was very much the dictator in the background, trying to kind of describe what my image would be. So we really enjoyed putting it together, especially because my data collection is purely qualitative. So I'm dealing with an awful lot of words, and to do the Visualising Research Competition, it completely turned that experience on its head. And what has been completely absorbed in words for a number of months, I was able to just completely change that and bring an image to life from that as well. So that was really nice. So there were different images being thrown around, so very much in the sense of me describing to my friend Lloyd what we could do with an image, and actually what started out as a science tree in reference to a science trunk into biology, chemistry and maths, that was something that we played around with for a long time. And it was very much because there was so many different topics that were coming through as part of the IPA process that I was using. So I was playing with ideas of science communication, capital, previous experience of parents and caregivers with science. So there was an awful lot that we kind of sifted through, but we arrived at this image to try and acknowledge the things that didn't actually come through in my formal results as much. So where we've got the original topics in my formal results, these are almost the things that I was really emotionally attached to, but didn't quite fit the narrative in which I was working with for the final thesis. So one of the very common things that people would talk about when they were describing what they thought science was, they would always talk about how much they loved astronomy and space, and they were fascinated, hence we've got the night sky. And the idea of the lenses was because the theoretical framework I was using was science capital. Now I couldn't for the life of me think about how I was going to describe capital. It's a philosophical concept, and it's literally about the things you can't touch, and they are the experiential things that we gain. So I thought, I've got no idea how I'm going to be able to put that together. But because we had this idea of parents and caregivers seeing biology, chemistry and physics as these core areas of science, but then when we translated that into perhaps their children having career aspirations into STEM areas, there was different themes emerging. So some people would talk about how their child had really aspired to be a vet when they were older, so they were very interested in science, whereas I asked somebody else the same question about career aspirations, and what they said is, well, they're not really interested in science because they'd rather be a vet instead at the moment. So we've got the same answer, but from two very different perspectives. So although that's not something that was going to be in the final formal results section, that was something that I just thought was so interesting, so real life about the way that people were able to engage with science in different ways. And as I say, through the lens of science capital, I had this idea of the night sky and people seeing the same sky but from different perspectives. Some people making links to science and careers, some people not making links to science and careers, because we all have different perceptions of what that is. I couldn't think it to be more beneficial to researchers. It gives us that opportunity to look at our research from a brand new perspective. And I think what's really important to remember is, as much as we are interested in the research, we're invested in it, there's an awful lot of hours, an awful lot of reading and intense academic jargon to work through. So being able to engage in the Visualising Research Competition gives you that opportunity to step back and really lighten up again. Sometimes, we hit these challenges in our thesis and it can be really tedious and tough at times. So to be able to play with something that's colourful, that's creative, that's imaginative, just gives us a whole new perspective, and we finally got something at the end of it, whether we win or not, that's tangible to add to our piece of research that could potentially be, put up on a wall in a gallery somewhere. It could be merchandise in the future somewhere. There's loads of opportunities of what you can do with that image once it's created. So I think it's definitely worth always engaging in the opportunities that are around to do that kind of thing, because you don't know where that perspective might take you on to the next opportunity.